My name is John Gonzales. Let's see, I got into EMS out of the military. So I served in the Army as an Army medic. And when I separated from the Army, I was already at EMT basic because that was part of the curriculum for Army medic at the time. When I got out and came back in the civilian sector, I started working immediately for a multi-specialty clinic and didn't really know what I wanted to do, and actually decided at one point in time I wanted to be an accountant. So I started taking classes at Concordia University in Austin. Got 21 hours into it and realized I did not want to be an accountant. So being that I was already EMT basic, I decided to just go into paramedic school and went to Temple College, graduated in 2004, and I've been at Williams County pretty much ever since.
Yeah. And John and I, full disclosure, are old partners. And so I had worked at Austin for a while. I got real tired of that, moved to Alaska, and started working for Williamson County. And one of the things I liked about John is he has this love for medicine. I mean, truly love for medicine. You're big into research. You've written several papers, and you've promoted, and now you're the director of EMS.
That's correct. Yes.
So tell us what skills were missing, because, and you kind of went up a promotional path, but as a paramedic, you have some skills. And as you climbed the ladder, what were some of the skills that you needed to develop?
I think for everyone that's looking to promote or to climb that career ladder in EMS, one of the things that as a profession that we don't get in our training is there's no, like your typical human resources classes, there's no organizational communication, there's no organizational behavior, there's no human resources, there's none of that. So a lot of times in our industry, we're kind of just relying on what other people teach us that they've learned from someone else and maybe not formally. And so I think as EMS providers and EMS professionals, the thing that's missing for all of us and was missing for me was that human component, the compassionate care, the emotional intelligence, the crucial conversations, all those things that are buzzwords now that were always been part of the curriculum. They were just never provided to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a very young industry, those are things that we're missing and are still are missing. And congratulations to you with Texas State and working on that bachelor's degree. I think it's definitely going to be a good thing. That's a long time coming. And I think hopefully with those classes that are in that part of that program, that we'll be setting up professionals for future promotion and growth. And so, yeah, that was one of the things that I found was lacking. So I've always had a plan. When I got to Williams County EMS, I wanted to work on the ambulance for sure, but I knew that I wanted to go into the clinical realm of things. I was interested in medicine, like you said. And so I set my plan to finish my undergraduate. So I did that in emergency management administration. And as soon as I was done with that, I started looking at a master's program that was suitable for what I was doing. And so I ended up completing my master's in healthcare quality and safety through Sam Houston State. And it was everything that degree was everything I was doing on the clinical side, but it also added a lot of the human resources component that we're missing as professionals. And so that did help me. And then there were some other classes I took on side of that, all of your Institutes for Healthcare Improvement classes on safety and on leadership and changing the paradigm and leading change in healthcare organization. Those are all things that we don't typically look at in EMS because sometimes we think of ourselves as public safety and not healthcare. We're a healthcare provider in a public safety setting. And so all the things that you learn as a healthcare professional outside of EMS, we need to have in EMS to ensure that we remain competitive and that we push our profession further. In the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of growth as far as professionalism goes, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah. Some people have said we need to stop calling it EMS, emergency medical services. Mm-hmm. And somebody said that a better term is something like pre-hospital care.
Right.
I think there's a lot of truth to that because we tend to think only in an ambulance with 911 and licensed sirens and stuff. But if we can change the verbiage and the wording of it, it changes everything. If we say, no, we're pre-hospital care.
Right.
Now we can open up a lot of things.
Right. Yeah, and emergency kind of implies, too, that we're reactive. And we need to be equally proactive. And that's where you see a lot of those mobile-rated health and community health care paramedic programs coming up. They're trying to be proactive and preventing those people from calling 911 and preventing hospital readmissions. But you're right, emergency medical services is antiquated, the name, and maybe pre-hospital medical services or anything besides emergency medical services. But again, there's unfortunately, a lot of funding tied to anything that has emergency in front of it.
Yeah.
That again, it's just one of those things. It's all about shifting the paradigm. Dr. Don Berwick, he has a quote that he didn't coin, but he says it in the Institute for Healthcare Improvement, is we want to make the paradigm uncomfortable. We want to make the future sexy. Right? And so it's all about change. It's like the most dangerous words ever spoken and have always been, we've always done it that way. And for 50 years, Williams County celebrated 50 years in the industry, and really not much has changed as far as deployment models go, schedule options. We want to give our providers a good work-life balance and make them working in EMS or in pre-hospital medicine rewarding.
Yeah.
They want more than just responding to 911 calls. They want to do other things as well. And so that's kind of been kind of my philosophy is we're going to change things up. Some people may not like it. They may choose to move on because they want that standard traditional paramedic EMS routine. But I'm looking at giving our employees an option, something that they can hang on to long term, that's not going to correct their back, shoulders, or knees or whatever, and give them additional options to work in pre-hospital medicine.
Yeah. I had a guest on recently, and he was talking about the idea of like we could have industrial medics. There are people who get their paramedic and they go and work at the casino, they work in a mine. And again, it gets us away from that box thing. And I think it'd be a fun exercise to sit there and say, how else could an EMS agency incorporate this idea of let's not just be on an ambulance?
Right.
How can, and I know some of this is already happening with corporate first responders and stuff, but what other models are there so that we can have a paramedic who can stay on working for Williamson County? But again, you're not on an ambulance. It might be community health. It might be something like that. And what other options are there?
Yeah. So I think really the sky's the limit where you need someone to be there to help when someone's in trouble. That's kind of where you need to be. When I taught for Temple College and later for EMTS, I told the students, I said, I'm not teaching you how to be a paramedic for Austin Travis County or a paramedic for Williams County. I'm teaching you how to be a paramedic in any environment that you choose to go work in, whether it be an offshore drilling rig or some remote area in Antarctica or Alaska, or wilderness medicine or a cruise company.
Yep.
So wherever there is a need for someone to be there who can respond to critical situations, emergency situations, that's where paramedics need to be. And the training that we have, obviously, we're ideal for that type of situation. To think quickly, critically, and not hesitate when people are in need. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. It's just a matter of us getting into those areas and proving our value, proving our worth. And again, it comes back to what education besides being a paramedic do you have?
Yeah.
So can you keep the books? Can you keep track of things? Can you offer a budget? There's a lot of things besides just providing medicine that are going to make us more marketable to those different areas where they're looking for someone who can do that. But also, hey, there's also this other administrative component of it that we need you to be able to do as well.
EMS has always been really good about like, welcome, you got your paramedic certification and here's the keys, radio and pager, and don't kill anybody, right? And we've gotten better with preceptors, but there still seems to be this thing like you're a paramedic on Monday and Tuesday you're a supervisor and on Wednesday you're the chief of the department and now you have a $40 million budget and we have given you zero training and zero skills. And so I love what you're saying about education. I think it's really important. What other advice would you have for somebody who maybe they're getting tired of being on the ambulance, they want to go into a leadership role? Do you have anything else that they should be doing?
I always encourage employees to look into teaching. There are several things that I think teaching other new providers is a race to the table. One, it keeps you up to date with the medicine. You can't just go up there and read a slide, which I know that's pretty common, but you have to be able to understand the medicine. You have to research, you have to be prepared for those lectures. Every time I got up there, I always prepared myself to have a student ask me questions, like to challenge me. Maybe they jump on the internet real quick and look up something and then they come to class and it's, oh, hey, I just read an article on X. What can you tell me about that? Well, I always was prepared for that. So I was always looking at the latest and greatest as far as research goes and so forth. But I think teaching really does help you prepare. If you're one of those individuals who's an introvert, you don't like standing up in front of groups and talking, or if you're afraid of failure, teaching is really good because it helps you prepare to not be caught off guard. It keeps you up to date with the medicine. You build these relationships with these people. And then when you see them successfully graduate from a program and get hired on somewhere, and then you see them as a field training officer or as an officer in the system and they're doing good, that's rewarding. But I would say, one, work on getting a degree. A lot of people say, well, there's a bunch of ignorant people out there with bachelor's and master's degrees. And I say, yeah, there's equally, if not more, ignorant people that don't have a degree. And I'm not saying everyone is in their boat, but there's a case for both. The one thing that was told to me years ago about a degree is it shows that you can start something and successfully complete it.
Very true.
4-year undergraduate degree, 26 to 36-month master's degree. And again, there's a lot of smart people out there, and maybe they don't feel the need to further education, but it makes it a lot easier if you're looking to promote an organization to have that paper. to say that, hey, I was able to successfully start this program and complete it. And this is the additional stuff that I got, because I didn't know what I didn't know going into this. So I learned a lot. And you think you go and get a bachelor's degree, you know everything. And you go to and finish your master's degree and you're like, wow, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And that's really good information. And there's even more out there. So again, I know that this school is not for everyone. That's why a lot of us took a paramedic track. It's like, hey, I don't want to go to school for 4 years. Hey, I can go become a paramedic. I want to work in medicine. It pays really well. And it's a good profession, but that's just the beginning part of it. If you want to stay at EMS, you're going to have to do some things that are uncomfortable and that are going to require some sacrifice.
Yeah.
And sacrifice, like you're going to be working a full-time job, going to school full-time, and you may have a family that you're going to have to be able to balance out as well. So at the end, it does pay off.
Yeah.
I had division commander of clinical. I didn't even really consider the director position until several people approached me and asked me about I would be interested in applying for it. And so I did. And again, even that was a whole study process. I have a mentor that I bounce a lot of things off of. That individual helped me with my resume and with interviewing and so forth. And again, it's all about learning and stepping out of your comfort zone. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to have to be willing to stay where you're at in your career.
Absolutely. Well, John, you are a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information. I look forward to having you on the full podcast. And I'm really glad you stopped by to talk to us and share a little bit of information with our audience today. So thank you so much.
All right. Yeah. No, thank you.